All right, so we all know Jack and the Beanstalk, right? Or at least we think we do. You know the drill. A poor kid, some magic beans, a giant, a whole lot of treasure, and a happily ever after. But today, we're going to dig into a version of this tale that asks a much, much darker question.
Yeah, what if the so-called hero wasn't really a hero at all? And what if that treasure he snatched came with a price tag way, way bigger than just gold? Okay, let's jump right into this classic story reimagined and find out what really went down after that beanstalk came crashing down.
So, our story kicks off not with some grand adventure, but with pure, raw desperation. And we're not talking about some cute fairy tale cottage here. This is a home that's on the verge of totally collapsing, and they are facing a life or death situation.
See, Jack and his mom, they lived right at the foot of the Foggy Mountains. And when I say they were poor, I mean they were in serious trouble. Their only source of income, their only real hope, was their cow, Bess. Without her milk, they had absolutely nothing. And I mean, their house was literally falling apart around them. His mom laid it all out for him, super clear. Holes in the roof, busted windows. They didn't even have a front door. And winter is right around the corner. She was dead serious, convinced that the cold would actually kill them if they didn't fix it. So yeah, the stakes? They couldn't possibly be higher.
So the mission was simple, right? Jack had to go sell Bess, and his mother gave him a non-negotiable price, at least 5 gold coins, not 1 penny less. Now remember that number, it's super important. It was the exact amount they needed just to survive.
But of course, on the way to the market, Jack bumps into this old man. He doesn't have the 5 gold coins, but he says he has something better, 5 little magic beans. And then he makes Jack a promise that, let's be honest, no desperate kid could ever resist, that these beans would make him richer than the richest man in the world. And Jack, just thinking about his mom, he makes the trade.
Well, his mother's reaction is, well, it's pretty much what you'd expect. She is furious. She grabs the beans, chucks them out the window, and Jack is just crushed, absolutely crushed by guilt. His one job, his one chance to save his family, and he blew it for a couple of beans. What a total disaster.
But then, the next morning, everything changes. Turns out, the old man wasn't lying after all. There's a massive, giant beanstalk reaching all the way up into the clouds, and Jack, seeing this as his one shot at redemption, he decides he's got to climb it.
I mean, can you even imagine waking up and seeing that outside your window? For Jack, it was all the proof he needed that the magic was real. So, while his mom was still asleep, he starts climbing. And he's driven by a very, very specific goal.
And this part is so important. Think about Jack's motivation at this point. He's not thinking about that richest man in the world promise. Nope. His goal is actually pretty pure and simple. He just wants to get those 5 gold coins his mom asked for, you know? Fix the house, make things right with her. That's it. That's the whole plan.
So he gets to the top, finds this huge castle, and meets the giantess. Now, she's enormous, but she's actually really kind, with this warm smile. She even gives him some food. But then, her husband comes home, and he is terrifying, hates humans, and he starts booming that famous line, "Fee, fi, fo, fum." So Jack dives into a pantry to hide, and from there, he watches the giant pull out this little sack of gold. And this is the moment, talk about an answered prayer. The giant starts counting them out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The exact amount he needs. It's sitting right there on the table.
Okay, and this is the turning point. This is where a simple mission for survival starts to twist into something a whole lot darker.
So when the giants finally leave the room, Jack darts out and snatches those coins. And for just a second, he has everything he came for. He even thinks to himself, this is it. This is all I need. He could have just left right then and there. Mission accomplished. He would have been the hero. But he doesn't. Because then he sees it, a hen that lays solid gold eggs. And just like that, 5 gold coins, it's not enough anymore. You can almost see the gears turning in his head. Why just fix the house when you could buy 50 cows? That little seed of greed has just been planted. So he steals the hen too. And he's still not done. He follows the giant one more time and spots the ultimate prize, a magic harp that plays the most beautiful music all by itself. And now his desire has gone way beyond just wealth. He wants fame, too. At this point, he's totally forgotten about his mom and their leaky roof. He just wants more and more and more. And this is where he messes up. As soon as Jack grabs the harp, it shrieks, waking up the sleeping giant.
The jig is up. All of a sudden, it's a frantic chase, and Jack is literally running for his life, clutching all this treasure he never even needed in the first place.
Now Jack's way smaller and faster, right? He gets to the beanstalk first and just zips down to safety. The giant, even though he's terrified of heights, he starts climbing down after him. Jack hits the ground, doesn't even hesitate. He grabs an axe and with a few huge swings, he chops that beanstalk clean down, sending the giant plummeting out of the sky.
Now, in the story we all know, this is the big celebration moment, right? The bad guy is gone, the hero gets the reward, but in this version, oh, the story is far from over.
Jack doesn't just hear a thud. He hears the giant's final, desperate scream as he lands way over on the other side of the mountains, cut off from his home and his wife forever. And then, high up in the clouds, he hears the giantess start to sob, and her tears start falling down to the earth as rain.
And just look at this contrast. It's absolutely brutal. Jack gets everything he ever dreamed of and then some. He becomes a millionaire, he's famous, he gets married, has 10 kids. Meanwhile, the giant is stranded, totally alone, forever separated from his wife, who now just cries tears of rain down on the world he can never return to. And that's the real cost, isn't it? Despite all that money, all that fame, Jack was never, ever truly happy. For the rest of his life, every single time the wind blew, he swore he could hear the giant calling for his wife. And every time it rained, he felt the giantess's tears on his face. He was living under a constant storm cloud that he himself had created, just haunted by his own guilt. Then one day, when he's a very old man, he just can't take the sadness anymore. He goes to an old box and pulls out one last, shriveled magic bean he'd saved. His final mission isn't for treasure or fame. It's for redemption. He wants to plant a new beanstalk, find that giant, and finally apologize for his greed.
But here's the thing. The story just leaves us hanging with this question. Did he ever find him? Did he get that chance to finally apologize, to atone for what he did? The story says, nobody knows. And that just forces you to wonder, right? Can a whole lifetime of guilt ever really be washed away? And maybe the biggest question of all, what's the real price of a